pretty much they're going to be connecting us to this transformer here. So before we go any further, we're actually going to need to take things back a little bit. So welcome to our 6-month update. So after searching all over Arizona, we finally settled on 2 pieces of land down in Cochise County, Arizona. And we did pay for our land fully in cash, which made the process a whole lot easier. And we ended up closing and finalizing it where everything was in our name by the end of October in 2024. And literally by that next week after we closed, we were on the land ready to start doing some work. Our first task was to get our land surveyed. And let me tell you, it sounds like it's easy, but it's not. It was so hard to find a land surveyor down in Cochise County. I'm pretty sure there is only one that does the entire area, because everyone we talked to as of now has literally had their land surveyed by the same exact person. But that was our main priority because we wanted to make sure, since we were going to start working on our fence first, we wanted to ensure that we were building on our property instead of building on the neighbor's property next to us. But to make the process easier for not only us, but also the land surveyor, which also dropped our costs and how much we had to pay, we ended up going and finding our own rebars. So our first major project that we decided to take on was fencing in our land. So we have 2.14 acres, and so we wanted to make sure that we got that fenced in for security reasons and to also keep animals out as well. And so we are still, to this day, 6 months later, still working on our fence because we like to make things complicated. And so we decided to do a concrete block front fence and then drop posts around the rest of the perimeter. So it is taking us a little bit longer, but we are moving at our own pace and the payoff is great so far. Also to mention, we are 3 hours away from the property and we can only get down there 1 day a week. So basically, we go down and build and then we do a turnaround. So along with our 8-hour workday of building the fence, we also have 6 hours of driving. So that has also contributed to some of the time that we've spent on the fence as well. So yeah, got to give us some credit for that. With us deciding to do a concrete block wall, that meant that we needed a footer. So we went ahead and dug a 24-foot footer for this section of the wall, and we ended up filling it up with concrete. This was Elijah and I's first time at attempting any type of project like this, especially one including a block wall. But we like to live by the mindset that we can teach ourselves anything. People who do this professionally, they learned it themselves, so why can't we learn it as well? So we were definitely ambitious, and to this day, I think we still have enjoyed the process, and we definitely enjoy the results. After a few fun dance breaks, we were able to get everything backfilled, and we had all the blocks done on the 24-foot section of the wall, which honestly it was just a great feeling just to know that we had built that, and it's a structure that was finally on our land, claiming it as ours. With us finishing all the concrete portions of the wall, it was now time for what we now know to be our favorite part of the fence building process, which was to start installing all the framing that goes on the pillars, and then also install all the slats, which completely transformed the look of the wall and brought everything together. So the wood portions of the concrete wall were Elijah and I's first woodworking project on the land. And with that in mind, we had absolutely zero tools for cutting or doing anything else to wood. At that time, we didn't have a circular saw. We also didn't have a sawzall. And so in order to cut these frames down to size, we were using a handsaw that we had just laying around the house. And the funny thing is that this handsaw, I'm pretty sure we had bought it when we were trimming up some nightstands that I was making. And so it wasn't even meant to cut wood this thick. It was more of just a trim cutter. But Elijah powered through it. He got all of them cut down to size. Definitely was not an easy measure. But after this video, we were like, okay, if we're doing any more woodwork, we need to get something to cut the wood. So that's when we bought a sawzall. So while installing the slats, I did end up losing the drill bit that we were using to attach the screws into the slats somewhere in the dirt, and to this day we have never found it. We were going to take a little magnetic stick thingy out there to find it, but we just gave up. So we had to finish the rest of them by using nails and a hammer, which took us a lot more time than it would have if we had the drill bit. With us working on the fence, we now needed to make sure that we knew where everything was going on the property. So that is when we went ahead and made a video about our homestead layout. And one of the things that while we were making it, we kept in mind is that it is not set in stone. It's a fluid thought, basically, to get everything onto paper of what we would want to see how it would fit on our pieces of land. But, you know, now looking back at the video I made, a lot of the stuff has now changed on there, starting with our main house. We are choosing to build in a completely different main house that is bigger than the previous one that we were building. And we also made a few other changes as well based on this plan. So yeah, just remember, if you are homesteading, nothing is set in stone until you actually start building. Okay, so back to the fence. So with our 24-foot section done, we decided that we wanted to take a break before we started the next big section. So we figured, let's work on the back corners. Now, usually we had seen different homesteaders and also just farmers who do gates. When they do their corner pillars, they usually put one post in and then they put two more posts, kind of making like a little L shape. And then they have to use wire or some type of tensioner in order to hold tension for the wire that they end up putting up and to also, you know, strengthen the gate as a whole. But we didn't want to do that because in our minds, it was easier for us just to build concrete pillars. So of course we decided to do concrete pillars. So we ended up starting off with our footer, just like we did with the 24-foot section, except for this one was a little tiny, little small footer. And then we installed our rebar into there, and then once it dried, we went ahead and started stacking up our pillars. And so with the back corners, we did end up going one higher on the back corners because we wanted them to be level with all the posts going across the side and the back of the property. This is also where it prompted us to decide to raise our front corners as well on the 24-foot section of the wall and our future 56-foot section of the wall, one block higher than it originally was. During this 6-month period, we did have a great opportunity to buy a tax lien, and so we ended up buying a tax lien on a 20-acre property, and as of today, we still hold that tax lien. It has not been paid back yet, so we will see what it turns into as the coming year approaches, and then over the next few years, we'll keep you guys updated on that. Next, it was time to get back to the fence, of course. So at this point, we were ready to start dropping some posts in the ground. So as of today, we still only have those 6 posts in the ground. We wanted to see how they would weather over a few month period to see them through a rain cycle, cold cycle, heat cycle, you know, all that stuff, because we did end up doing the preserving ourselves. We did a used motor oil mixture, and then we also used Flex Seal to seal up the posts at the bottom, so we weren't sure how that would do out in our soil. So so far they are holding up great. They've seen the rain, they've seen heat, we've had very minimal cracking, and I think that cracking did just come from the last of the moisture escaping from it. But once we went ahead and stained right back over it, it was perfect. So now that we know that they are actually good, we can go ahead and continue setting more. And of course, down the line, we already know that we will have to replace them as they age. Just like with any other wood post that you stick in the ground, you're still going to have to replace it eventually. With all the other projects coming to completion that we were working on, it was now time for us to start on our wonderful 56-foot section of the fence on the other side of the property, which meant it was time to dig a trench that was 56 feet long. Great stuff. Pretty much with this section of the wall, we did the exact same thing. Well, I don't want to say exact, but we did very similar things that we did when we did the 24-foot section. So we had dug out our trench to the correct depth, and then we went ahead and poured a concrete footer. Now, the only difference that we did from the 24-foot section is that we put the rebar in the ground before pouring the concrete, or I guess as we were pouring the concrete, rather than doing it after like we did with the other side. Now, I can't really tell you which method is better. I feel like it was easier for us to put them in afterwards just because it's so windy that we can't really truly run a string line. We've twisted it and twisted it. I put it around like the little pin that we use in the ground to tension it, and we wrap it in a way that we can just turn that pin to tighten it. And the wind is so strong that it just doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Like the string will snap by the point that we get it tight enough to where it won't bend. So without having the string, it's just hard to lay the rebar, and so I don't know. I don't know. We've tried both methods. I think we like it better doing it afterwards, but it is a pain doing it afterwards. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation for us, but we're done with it now, so can't go back. With us now having the 56-foot footer completed and the rebar installed, we wanted a little bit of a mini break just to stop and do something a little fun. For us, setting the wall is fun, but it's a different kind of fun. But we decided to take a break and work on some of our landscaping. I know we don't have a fence yet, but our trees definitely needed a bunch of trimming because they were too low to the ground, and a good thing we did, because literally probably a week after we got them all trimmed up and mulched and everything, all the greenery started coming in. So if we hadn't cut the trees when we did, we wouldn't have been able to get into the tree to be able to cut it because it started getting so thick and all the green leaves just started coming in. So we are glad that we did it when we did, because it made a huge difference, and the trees are thriving after we trimmed them up and had them mulched. And our little tiny baby one that we did, I think was the last tree that we did, or it might be the second to last tree that we did, I don't remember, but the little baby tree has gotten so much bigger, and so they are definitely thriving with the trim that we gave them. While we were relaxing and having fun working on our landscaping and our trees on the property, lo and behold, did we know that in a few short weeks we were going to become the new owners of a 1994 travel trailer, which was one of the major keys that we needed in order to get ourselves onto the land, because of course we needed somewhere to live while we were building our house. And with us now owning the trailer, that means it is time for renovation projects. Since having Terry, we jumped right into the projects to get him in a livable state. Well, he's livable now, but an aesthetically livable state. But so far since we've had him, we've taken care of the backsplash behind the kitchen sink. We have primed and painted 100% of his walls. We have also redid the bathroom as well. And also, you guys haven't seen it yet. I'll have to show you eventually when I put it into the video. But we have about 99% of the floor completely done. When we went out to build the 56-foot section of the wall, we ended up going back like 2 days after we left from that stretch that we were there, and we finished the entire floor except for a little section around the cabinets in the kitchen, because we want to get those painted before we do the flooring around there, so it makes our job easier when it comes to painting. But at this point, Terry is pretty much done. We just have to build a table for him. We also have our new sofa installed, which you have not seen either. I have a lot of stuff to catch you guys up on, but yeah, we basically jumped right into renovating Terry, and we wanted to get it done as quick as possible, and I think so far we've been doing good. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. We also built out the kids' sleeping areas. So for little man, we built him a full crib, standard to any size crib you would go and buy at the store. For her, we put a little toddler guard so she doesn't roll off. And then we also put wallpaper up inside their areas to complete out their sleeping areas to make it nice and comfortable. So we're almost done with the trailer, but we have little touches that we need to finish. And bringing us back to current time is our 56-foot section of the fence that we just completed. So pretty much with that one, we are happy that it is done. Having this one done means that we are done building basically concrete fences forever. All we have to do now is take care of the pillars that our gate is going to be attached to, and then also our RV gated in area as well.
The tree has mulch under it because my daddy is holding my brother because I can see it, because I can touch it, because the trees have fruit on them.
So this was a mini tiny tree that we mulched and had trimmed up, and look how I see it. Look how big that this tree has gotten. This is crazy. Like, it's huge now. So these will be some nice, give it like a year or two, and this will be some nice shade trees. On this day that you're seeing, we just got done meeting with the power company. They came out to our land to discuss hooking up. So we're going to go over everything that we discussed and what the plan is. Okay, so when talking to the power company, pretty much they're going to be connecting us to this transformer here, and they told us that since we have a transformer already there, that's going to save us a few $1,000s, which is going to be great. And so we're going to have just a random meter box just out in the yard. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to scoot back so you can see, so we're going to be going underground with our power rather than having one of these jumbo poles come over into our yard. So they're going to bring the power down here, and then we are tasked with trenching. So we're going to trench all the way to here. This is where we told them that we want our meter box to go. It's out of the way, and it's cheaper since the meter box is within 200 feet of the pole, because this is our easement. So that's 15 and then another 15, so it's only 30 feet away. So that's going to also save us a lot of money. So great stuff there. And so we figured that we're going to go ahead and put just the fence here. We won't really need to put anything here, so we just need 3 feet clearance in front. So anything that we put over here, we just have to make sure it's 3 feet away from the panel. But what that will allow us to do once we get the meter box there, as we build, we can go ahead and start basically breaking off lines off the meter box. So I told Elijah that I would like to have power in the garden, which is going to be in that far corner. So what we're probably going to do is trench the line from the meter box along the back fence line, since we won't be putting anything that close to the fence, run it all the way across to the greenhouse garden area, and then we'll snake it up the front, and then we'll keep taking the power forward up into this area where Terry is going to be. So then we can go ahead and do a meter box, we can go ahead and do an RV hookup over there with Terry, and then in the future we can either run another line to do the guest house, which is going over here, or we can take the line and run it from here along this fence line and then take it over here to the main house and then off to the guest house. So a lot of different options. And so basically what's going to happen next is that since they went ahead and marked everything where we want everything, they're going to draw up the design plans. So we did have to pay for the design plans, but that was only like $150, so that wasn't too bad. So, and that was also for them to come out. And so they're going to do the design plans, they'll ship it off to the next department, they'll figure out how much everything's going to cost, they'll send us an invoice, and once the invoice is paid in full, then they will start the construction of everything, which is great. They said that the wait list is about 4 weeks. However, it could be a little bit longer just because they're picking up in volume right now. So we'll see how quickly that we can get that done. But also, while we are here, we are going to go take a trip out to our road. So I will see you when we get there. I figured that I would show you guys the entrance to our property. So our neighbor has a tractor, and so he came by and he added a bunch of dirt here for us. This is our street that we turn on to go onto our property, where you can see the fence post right there. But he added in a bunch of dirt to smooth this out, because this basically looked like that over there, where it was like a big drop off. And so he added dirt because bringing Terry, and even just bringing a trailer up here and bringing Terry up here, it was just a lot of, like, it wasn't going to tip, but it was a lot of this going on with Terry. So he went ahead and leveled this out and then added a bunch of dirt. So now you can't, I hope you can tell, but it's like a nice little flat surface. So eventually we'll need to figure out what we can put here permanently, because a lot of this is still soft dirt. It's compacted down really well, but hopefully we can figure out what we want to put on here to keep it from washing away before the monsoons come. But for now, it is definitely a big help. And then if you can see, Elijah and the kiddos are just taking a stroll down the road. So that is all that we have for you today. It's crazy when you put everything into one video. It's crazy how much we've gotten done in the next 6 months. And so we probably won't do another update video until we hit 1 year, but we hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video. We are grateful for every single one of you who have subscribed to us and have been on this journey with us over the past 6 months. And we are excited to see what we can get done in the upcoming 6 months, because the sky is the limit. So we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.